over to Instagram and make that go live. There we go. Oh, hey. We are live. Well, welcome to the 7 o'clock talk. And tonight we're going to talk about toxicity. And toxicity comes from a lot of different places. And it is something that affects your health more than you might think. Because we think of people who are toxic as tired, chronically fatigued. They have all of these illnesses. But more commonly, when the liver gets overloaded, what it does with the toxins is it starts to store it in fat. So now it's starting to become more associated with fat, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and all of those wonderful maladies. So I'm going to let you go first, cover what you were reading about, and then I'll cover what I was reading about, and then we'll bring it to a close.
You want me to talk about the water?
Talk about the water, talk about what was interesting to you about what you were reading.
I mean, it wasn't really interesting to me because I already knew it, but it might be interesting to them. But like we live in farmland areas, so our water is probably contaminated with a lot of chemicals just because of runoff from farmers, which would be pesticides and fertilizers, things like that. But then I think the top three was it's in all water, not necessarily our water around us, but Giardia, E. coli, there was something else, but mercury, arsenic, heavy metals,
fluoride,
lead, that's going to be in your water. And boiling, it doesn't take those things out. It kills bacteria, but it doesn't actually take out the contaminants because all you're really doing is making it stronger because you're concentrating the chemicals in the water. And I don't remember what the other ones were.
So the EPA was formed in the 70s, and it was basically for air pollution. And it has since evolved like most government things.
But the Clean Air Act came out of that. And supposedly we are 5 times cleaner than we were in 1970 as far as air pollution.
Well, for the things that they measure. That's how I would qualify that. Now, with that being said, there's a great resource called the EWG, the Environmental Working Group. And they are a very good source for looking at your tap water and things like that. So I went through and I just hopped onto the EWG to see what the newest hot topics were. And they were talking about chloroquine, which is basically it's something that we use with farming. And they were talking about the popular oat-based products that this has been found in. And the levels at which it was found in were over 30 times what was supposed to be healthy or allowable. So let's talk about, first off, how little of this stuff needs to be in your food source that it causes an issue. So the analogy is if you take one blade of grass and you laid it on a football field, that's how little these chemicals need to be in your food supply, water, or what have you. This is why I get harped on about trying to be organic and clean and blah, blah, blah. But this is why this is important, because just that single blade of grass in a football field will cause fetal developmental growth delays. It changes how the head and the bones develop. It changes the metabolism. It causes delayed onset puberty, decreases sperm motility, decreases testosterone. And oh my goodness, can you think of anything else that is more popular right now than testosterone replacement? You see low T commercials and testosterone clinics everywhere.
Testosterone is a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is. And then it also causes damage to the nervous system. So what were the worst offenders that the third-party labs found? I didn't name them all. I just went for the ones that had over
Diddy,
three
stop.
times the limited amount. Quaker old-fashioned oats, Walmart great whole oats and honey granola, Quaker oatmeal squares and honey nut, Quaker instant oatmeal, maple brown sugar, and General Mills Cheerios. General Mills Cheerios, this is the second knock against Cheerios, because Cheerios also has 5 times the allowable limit of, oh God, the Monsanto product, the 2,4-D, the weed killer. So it has 5 times the amount of that in it. So if you have children or grandchildren and you're feeding them Cheerios, stop. So with that being said, and the kicker here is we already know that it causes these issues, and the companies are seeking to increase the levels that are allowed in the food. So we already have the problems at the levels that they're being found in, and they just want to raise the
Well, and
level.
they're not even tolerated in other countries.
Yeah, no. And so if you go to the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, you can see the study that I just quoted. And then if you go to, if you look up on the top right-hand side, they also have your water stuff. And so, you know, water's supposed to be clean and clear, and we have these great filtration places and stuff like that. You can type in your zip code. So we are in the Bartholomew County in Indiana. We're in that zip code. So I just, for a real quick look, wanted to see what was going on. And one of the first things it found is arsenic is at 188 times the allowable limit in our water. Haliocetic acid, HAA 5 and 9. The HAA 5 is 41 times the allowable limit, and the 9 is 182 times. Each of these things that I'm going to talk about is a cancer-causing agent. So if you actually look up incidences of cancer, how high is Bartholomew and Jackson County in Indiana?
Jackson County is one of the highest for the rarest cancers, but they actually had a chemical factory that was demolished and they dumped their stuff there. So they are actually there's rare cancers are studied in Jackson County.
Yep. So nitrates in our water, the 47201 zip code, 13 times. Radium is 13 times the allowable limit, and trihalomethanes is 87 times. Other things, and think about this, if you have thyroid issues, get away from fluoridated water. Fluoride is a known halogen that competes with your thyroid gland or with your thyroid hormones for binding sites. It competes with iodine, actually, and that causes you to be hypothyroidic. And so we talk about all of this stuff because think about it this way. If you have one incidence of something that is a contaminant, let's say your whole life is clean, but you just eat oat, maple, brown sugar, and you're getting this one.
Or you drink, or if you just eat it every day for breakfast.
Yeah. So you continue that load. Eventually that gets to where your body can't handle it. So the liver gets overtaxed, and then the liver starts to pack that away in the fat. And this is why people, when they go on a detox and they start to lose weight, and when they start to detox and they're following the diet and they're doing fabulous and they just feel awesome, and then all of a sudden they start to lose weight, and what happens to them?
They feel terrible.
They feel like crap.
They feel like they got the flu. It's because that toxins is being released from their fat and they have to work through it.
And so some simple and easy things that you can do to start to limit these things. And trust me, I went to the grocery store today and I bought everything as organic as I could, as clean as I could. It's all of the lunches for us at the clinic for the next week and a half. And the bill was like $134. And I had fresh salmon, and I had, all kinds of things. But I guess the trade-off is I also don't need to be on any medications. So I'm not paying for doctor co-pays. I don't pay for um, uh, prescriptions. I don't have those things. And I'm not supposed to be on those things because all of my metrics are good. And so if you try to eat that way and you do those things, you start to limit the load and you allow your body to start to catch up. And that's very important, to limit the load and allow your body to catch up. One of the things you can do, I was drinking reverse osmosis water before reverse osmosis water was cool. And we have a whole house filter, carbon going into a softener, going into an RO tank. And those systems for the whole house, yeah, they're expensive. They can be anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000. I believe worth it because every place I go, anywhere I live, that's the first thing I swap out. The next thing is, and now, and if you'll watch, hopefully within the next, well, probably by next week, we will have a unit that goes on your counter that is called an AquaTrue. We'll have a discount code that you can actually use to get the, it's a desktop RO filter. We use it at the clinic for the coffee bar. And the rest of the water at the clinic is RO. And then we do have spring water that's in bottles for our patients. We try to eliminate as much plastic as possible. But we do that because of how important it is to us for you guys. I think I covered everything. So the RO water actually RO water takes out everything but manganese. So if your water has too much manganese, then there's an issue. If you do start to drink RO water, it starts to demineralize the bones.
Your teeth and your bones, so you need to remineralize it. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
So you need to get some Celtic sea salt and just put it on your tongue a couple times a day, or just cook with it. And it looks dirty, but that looks dirty because it's good.
Yep. And so it's pretty simple. I mean, once you start to make some foundational investments in your health, like good clean water, like good clean food, and that becomes your norm, your body will start to correct itself. And then hopefully the younger you are and the younger you start to do these things, then the less you will have to deal with when you're older. So when your problems do arise, you don't have as much to fix.
Well, and another thing, so styrene seems to be a big problem
in this area
with our patients. So almost every single person has too much styrene. And so at first we thought, oh, they must be working with styrofoam or something, but that's not actually the case. It's actually in our water and in our air. But your air quality in your house is usually poorer than the air quality on the outside of your house, because we build houses tight in the Midwest because that's how we save money on air conditioning and heating. So to do something good for yourself, buy a bunch of house plants, because house plants absorb styrene out of your environment, but they purify your air. And your big ones that are really good, which I call mother-in-law plant, but it's a snake plant. I don't know what the name of it is, but any house plant is good for your indoor air quality. And if you get enough of them, you can actually tell the difference. So all mine are inside, but just make sure that you don't buy plants that are toxic to your cat or your dog.
Yeah. And then the other thing is you also, we've invested in lots of air filters for our house. We have one in the bedroom that goes right next to Libby's bed.
Well, we have air purifiers. Yep. And that is amazing.
Yep.
Actually, we change that not as often as we should, but it's disgusting. And we have the big 4-inch filters for the furnace that takes out, I don't even know what the MERV is, but it takes out viruses out of the air. So it's very tight
So toxicity is very important to the body because your liver and kidneys have to clean anything that gets into your body that's not meant to be in your body. And so if you're dealing with those things, especially if you're dealing with the forever chemicals, and if you're dealing with the PFAs, PFOAs, and stuff like that, it takes a long time to really work that stuff out of your body. And the thing that you have to do is you can't be putting more crap into the body for the body to have to work on to get this stuff out. And that's what we call limiting the load or body burden. So you really want to make sure that you take body burden down as low as you can go, and then you start to work on it from there.
And I have something else to add. So my ice bath, talking about body burden and toxicity, you bog down the system. So your lymph system gets junked up, your liver swells, it gets junked up. It just gets clogged with junk. And so the ice or cold plunge, it actually helps detoxify the body because it shunts the blood from your extremities to your core, and it pushes more blood through. So it carries a bunch of junk away. But
I had not made the connection, but when I do the ice bath, I started checking my blood sugar again because I started to pee a lot more. And I bet you that's when because my blood sugar is fine. When I get into the ice bath, that might be one of the
detoxing.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't even think about it.
Well, I'm like, everybody needs an ice bath. I will never not have an ice bath. Actually, I am planning on it, like a forever ice bath, how to make a forever ice bath. But ours is currently on the front porch full of Epsom salts. So the temperature of the water goes lower without freezing, but the magnesium in the ice bath is so good for your body, and it deters bacteria. And we've upgraded it now to have a pool filter, so it cleans the water, so it cycles every day.
And it ranges between 32 and 40 degrees, so it stays sub 40.
Yeah, the colder the better. I like it colder, and it got up to about 45 degrees. I still like it colder. I like it icy. But then we put it on the front porch, so it's out in the open. So then you get the challenge of the breeze, and it is cold, and I really like it. So it's really done awesome things for me. So joint pain's gone, swelling is reduces brain fog, takes a migraine away like that.
So there's just something else you can add to your arsenal.
Yep,
and actually the flip side of that is sauna to sweat. Making yourself sweat helps you detox. So the free and easy things that people can do to help their detox systems: ice bath, sauna,
and they say to go
exercise,
from the sauna to the ice bath. And that's amazing for you, but don't go to the ice bath to the sauna, because then you kind of eliminate the benefit of this ice bath.
So there are 3 pretty simple ways. And then, of course, investing in a good quality air purifier, and then like a reverse osmosis. But do remember to use something like LMNT or Celtic sea salt, or even the pink salt. Any of those things are wonderful to help your body do what it's supposed to do. With that all being said, you guys have a wonderful evening.